Hey, what's poppin'? I'm Ace, and with Hunter x Hunter returning, I thought, fuck it, let me cover an arc or something. And looking back at it, holy shit. Hunter x Hunter's Chimera Ant Arc was something, dude. Before I start going on about it though, spoiler warning for Hunter x Hunter going forward. So if you haven't watched it already, you totally should. Okay, so I'm gonna try and do something a little different for this video. I would usually take the time to like detail what's going on during the arc and basically sum up and talk about the arc as a whole, and then transition into like talking points, I guess. But for this one, I'ma just assume you know what's up. So with that being said, I guess I'll just start with what I liked about the arc. For starters, I thought Kite was cool as fuck. Like design wise, dude looks sick. He kind of has his own vibe separate from what we've seen so far from the other characters, especially since dude looks nothing like the other characters up to this point. His Nen ability was dope as well. I like the whole luck based power, since up to now I don't think I've seen something similar in other shows, and you know, it's pretty cool seeing something other than like fire powers, electricity, super strength, or like generic shit, you know. Story wise, he's also pretty well written. He dies during the events of the arc, and even though we had only known him for a little, his death had a massive impact on Gon and the story overall, cause it kind of set up the massive tonal shift, since you know, this strong ass dude mentored by freaks actually fucking died. His death was shocking as shit. Well, actually, I guess he did kind of ego his fight, so you can maybe discern that dude is probably fucked. Like, you could have probably guessed it, but the way it was presented was just disrespectful as fuck and just presented a lot of shock value. When I first saw it, like deadass, I was shocked as hell. The death upped the stakes hella and was honestly a great way of just shifting away from what we've been accustomed to, especially since there wasn't like a big setup or like climactic fight or like what you expect from an anime death. He just egos the fight and fucking dies. Moving past that, Knuckle was also a highlight in the arc for me. His overall design and just his trope, I guess, was goated. The whole old school delinquent shit was funny, and I'm glad it wasn't too dragged out either. Like, it was just the right amount for that trope, or that running gag, I guess. There are some funny instances in the beginning with it, but then later on, he turns into like a pretty serious character. As with Kite, I really liked his Nen ability. It's basically just debt collection, and he drains you dry of Nen. Super creative, and although it's not the flashiest thing in the world, it still provided the story with some interesting fights. I mentioned the tonal shift briefly, but I mean, that was just such a dope thing for the arc. The fact that we went from like card collecting and overall highs, like Killua officially becoming a hunter, and Gon presumably having found a path to his father, to having to see these characters face their lowest moments, is peak writing. The whole shift towards a more seinen arc really allowed the antagonists to flourish. Speaking on the antagonists, they were fucking great. I hated every single one of them and wished nothing but the worst for them. Meruem, Pito, and the other two shitters are fucking awful, and I hated seeing them on my screen being happy or having victories, or literally just being on my screen in general. They were handled really well, and I was happy as fuck that Meruem got bitched and taken out in such a lame way. Dude really cheated death to die of poison. It wasn't a big fight where we saw Gon take him out or anything massive like that, and I'm glad. He didn't deserve that. Like, I know it still is a big fight with Netero, but I mean, he technically won it and then fucking lost it, so it is what it is. And I know some people didn't really like that outcome, but I did. Dude was a shitter, and I'm glad he died the way he did. Fuck him. Rest in peace, Meruem. But yeah, they were a great antagonist for the arc, and they managed to push Gon to his limits unintentionally. Like the whole nande seeing his peak fiction, and we wouldn't have had that without the shithole ants. Lastly, the switch between Gon and Killua was dope to see. Throughout the arc, we see Gon regress and grow rageful, bitter, and lose his positive outlook on life slowly. Contrasting that, we see Killua instead step into that role that Gon usually possesses. He acts a bit out of character, but I mean, it's just him growing, and we get to see a more playful, optimistic, and outgoing, friendlier version of him. Like, he was actually out here making friends with the ants and attempting to reason with Gon and get him to hold back. That, and we just see more of him in like a solo role, which is dope. Going back to Gon, seeing him be a darker character and overall just match the tone of the arc was jarring, but dope as hell, since he essentially had his spirit broken and he was just too far gone to reach, culminating into his final battle with Pito, which, like I said, was just peak. So now I'm gonna critique the arc a bit and kind of just bitch about some things I didn't necessarily like. Starting off, I hated how the author tried to humanize the ants and make Meruem a bit more sympathetic. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, and in this instance I think it was cringe. Like painting Netero as a bad guy and trying to give some sort of commentary on humanity was fucking stupid, coming from a mass murdering ant with no emotions. Comparing it to like what I think is a good example of this would be like Doflamingo, who in my opinion did this correctly. It just doesn't hit the same. With Dofi, we see flashbacks of him being persecuted for something he didn't do, and just in general things out of his control, and we see him form bonds with his crew. And although he is similarly portrayed as heartless, like when we see him kill Corazon and take over Dressrosa for like a reign of fucking terror, we can see the initial motivation, or at least why he is the way he is. We have like a good amount of build up to somewhat feel sympathetic for the guy. With Meruem, it's just a shithole being given emotions to just give into him. Like sure, we have the shogi matches which set up his humanization process, but I mean, to me it just felt stupid. Like bro, he's literally just a psycho killer ant, and that's okay. Your villain can literally just be a shit stain. That's fine. You don't have to give him fucking emotions and try to make him more of a human. Like that's just fucking stupid. It's perfectly fine if your villain or your main antagonist is a shithole just to be a shithole. You don't gotta convolute it and make it deeper than it really is. Like to me it was stupid that an attempt was made to try and give these dudes like a character arc. Like bro, just let your villain be a villain. It's fine. Another thing I really disliked was that the whole impact of the Chimera Ant Arc and essentially what went down was nullified or like retconned, I guess, in the preceding arc. I hate the word I'm about to use because it's overused as fuck, especially pertaining to like Spider-Man media, but bro, there were no consequences. Gon used up years worth of Nen and altered his body in such a way that it was supposedly irreversible, at least the damage he did to himself, and then he loses an arm, scares Killua, then sacrifices his entire future potential, and then gets literally put on his deathbed because of his rageful recklessness, and nothing comes out of it. Obviously he wasn't gonna fucking die or anything, but we're teased that he may lose his ability to use Nen, which I mean, holy shit, that's interesting. It's a steep consequence, but it makes sense for what he did. You could even say it's similar to what Kurapika did for his whole power. But yeah, they set up that whole cool consequence, and it leaves you there like, wonder what'll happen with that going forward. And then you get your answer. Fucking nothing. He gets saved and cured, so nothing comes out of what went down. Then yeah, for the preceding arc, I get that it's like Killua's not really redemption, but it's just his biggest growth. It's like his big moment, and that's all cool and shit, but really, you just fucking throw away your big old consequences from the arc that was supposed to be like all of them, I guess. Like you just hand out misfortune and you're like, oh yeah, just kidding, I'm taking that shit away. But damn, I guess there's still Kai dying, right? That's a pretty big consequence. Like he was a catalyst for the whole tonal shift. Sucks that you died, but I mean, that is still, I guess, the biggest consequence of the arc. Oh wait, no, Kai gets resurrected for whatever reason. Like bro, what? Dude was a dumbass and basically killed himself, but he didn't really pay for being a dumbass. Like sure, he's stuck as a little girl now, but like dude's still alive. So all the bad things that went down really didn't mean shit for the story, since nothing changed for the protagonist as a result of the story's events. Like bro, Black Clover gets shit for being Disney Channel as fuck, but I mean like damn, this shit's up there with it. Like bro, imagine if Oda had killed off Ace in Marineford and then out of nowhere just decided, fuck it, I want to see this dude alive again, and he just fucking respawned him out of nowhere. Or if like he got Gecko Mori's Devil Fruit and fucking resurrect him and had him walking around as a zombie. That'd be fucking stupid. It'd be dumb as shit. Same thing applies here. Why is this dude alive again? It literally doesn't make sense. Like that shit is just fucking dumb. He's alive just to be alive. But like bro, come on. How is this golded ass arc presented as this massive dark period of the story with hella repercussions just completely cucked afterwards? Like even the ending of the arc, we're left with the feeling that even though they won, they lost, since I mean all that bad shit I mentioned went down, and it leaves you with like a sense of, oh damn, I wonder where this story is gonna go next, this is fucking sick. But then the next arc, haha, lol, it's not actually going anywhere. Like, bro, what is that? Overall, the arc is fucking great, and it's regarded as one of the best in anime. And yeah, like, I agree, the Chimera Ant Arc is for sure one of the best ever, especially within the context of the show, since it comes after like back-to-back peak arcs. Like, sure, it's flawed, and there are some things I would have definitely liked to see done differently, but I mean, it's still a good ass arc. But yeah, with that being said, I'm pretty much done talking about the arc. I could have totally went way more in depth and done like a 40-minute video or something, but editing a video that long actually sounds fucking miserable, so I'm not gonna be doing that. For sure though, check out Hunter x Hunter if you haven't already. It's a dope series, and although I did spoil like some key elements of the show, there's still a lot I didn't touch on, and you can totally go through, watch this arc, watch the entire show, and find things to enjoy. And yeah, look out for a possible Love is War video I'm gonna be doing, and maybe a Data Live season 4 video perhaps. There's also like 2 other video ideas I have that I might hit. Since I'm not sure on what order I'm gonna be doing stuff in, I'm not really gonna tease it further from that. Other than that, just the usual, you know, subscribe, like the video, comment if you want. For sure, like, share the video and channel around, since I'm trying to grow, and that'd be lit. And yeah, that's about it. Later.